Good. If you'll check the audio on that one when you get a chance, and then go ahead and launch the other one, and we'll just bring people in as we go. All right.
Wait, no. What is this?
What's that?
Hold on. What is it? Why am I getting this? What is going on here?
That's not what I wanted. Apparently, I can't type.
Is yours working?
Hmm?
Is yours working?
Yeah. See, you go out and buy this new fancy new computer, and you can't even turn on Wi-Fi. It's okay. I'm not too embarrassed for you.
Yeah.
See, I pay him too much. That's
yeah. I get a new one every 6 years.
way too much. Pay him way too much. All right, let me just. Hey, for everybody that's tuning in, folks,
There we go.
give us just a second. We're setting up here and sharing what we need.
Oh, here, type that code in for me.
Thanks.
No, just do it online so everybody can see what the code is.
Read it out loud.
Jake's is 1, 2, 3. No,
There we go.
all right. How we sounding
Hang
over
with
there?
us there, YouTubers. We're getting everything shared around.
Why do I have a Go Who's?
What?
I had a column of Go Who's. Like
Somebody pulling for Virginia in the first game already?
pretty much. It just popped up on my tweet deck. It was like, here's a whole column of anybody that attacked Go Who's. I'm like, okay. All right. What's up?
Got to be the all-timer Orange Bowl.
Waiting on Jake to share
we
it
go.
with our
right.
biggest fan.
The lovely Mrs. Donnan.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Dave, on which channel, Dave? Two. All right.
All right.
Hey, look at that.
Oh, wow.
That looks pretty good.
Wait, what? Okay.
Somebody say Roos is a snowflake?
Jake Roos is a snowflake. Volume good. Jake's embarrassed not.
Dude, can you button up a little bit?
One more for the. This one's for adults only.
We're trying to look respectable here at Athens Ford.
Hey,
Hang on a second.
What do we got? Go on the road, man. You got to get this straight.
Trevor Maffetone says, "I'd kill for a Champies in Dalton." I bet.
Was that right?
Yeah, man. We got we got 20 tenders over here. Some hush puppies today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum. You see Jordan Birch did not take questions following his commitment.
I bet. Why would he start now?
Oh, yeah. Why would he? Hey, everybody. Welcome to the UGASports Live podcast. My name is Roddy DeBolsey. I'm joined by Jake Roos, who it is his day. It is signing day, and this is Jake. It's his early Christmas. We're here at Athens Ford. Star of the show down there on the end is Coach Jim Donnan. Jim Donnan will be giving you his opinion on all the guys that Georgia signed and could sign. There's still a lot for Georgia on the table. A couple of 3 5-stars. One that's committed, 2 that are not. That Georgia's looking at, plus the number 1 center in the nation who's committed. Hang on to him. There's a lot left for Georgia to do, but we can't wait on those guys. We need to do our show today. We are here from Athens Ford in, of course, wonderful west side of Athens. Got the giant tree behind us. It's really sharp. Big.
You heard him?
Not yet.
A lot going on at this week's show.
Just
This
doing
is like the we're like
No.
the Adam Schefter thing going on.
No,
over
it's
here.
okay. A lot going on in this week's show, so we really appreciate everybody tuning in, especially this different time that we're doing. It's if you would, most people don't realize it. We didn't do a show yesterday. That we moved it today. So please be sure to share this on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. We'd greatly appreciate it. It means a lot so that all the folks can come in. Hit us up with your questions. We're going to get to them. But as I said, today is the early. Well, to me, it's signing day.
It is.
It's signing day, and then the other one is the normal signing day will now be known as the late signing period. It's the same thing happened. Yeah, the same thing happened in basketball. You know, you had the early signing period. They still call it that, but everyone calls it the signing period. So this is signing day. When you have 16 signees, it's
right.
It's signing day. So Georgia with 16 of them right now. Jake, give me your overall impressions of this class so far.
Overall, I don't think a lot of surprise for Georgia. You were hoping to maybe pull out Jordan Birch here this afternoon. That didn't come to fruition. Sounds like things are a little bit shaky on Eric Reed. I think he'll commit while we're on the air, so it'll be interesting to kind of give some live reaction from that one. But overall, you reeled in a lot of the guys that you thought you were going to get, that you had anticipated signing. And it's a good sign for Georgia that they've been able to lock down a great portion of the class. Cedric Van Pran not going ahead and signing, not a huge surprise. Same thing with Broderick Jones. They wanted to take their time after the staff transition. That makes sense. So I think getting a guy like Mikael Sherman already signed, that was good. They didn't anticipate that when I saw him early this season. He said that wasn't something that they did at his school. They didn't allow you to sign early, but apparently they found a workaround around that. He won't enroll early because they don't allow that. But overall, things are sitting well. And what I think is great for Georgia compared to some of the other schools out there, you got a lot of room heading into February. So if you've got some targets, you've got spots to spend on them, and you can kind of focus those efforts.
So no real surprises, but with only 17 commits, and Rivals counts the top 20 when they're grading out your classes. So with 17 commits, Georgia's still number sixth in the nation. Now that's assuming that you hold on to Van Pran and Broderick Jones, a 5-star and the number 1 center in the nation. You can still add on to that. Coach, give us your take on this class.
If we had Ringo, Washington, and considering we keep Jones and we add Burton, then that class jumps up in the top 3, maybe 2, because they're all 5-star guys, and I think we're in good shape. These guys don't commit till, actually announce to the All-Star game. I think they're in the Under Armour game, and they like that deal. But I would just say that the tenuous situation with our offensive line was that we were able to make a move there, from the standpoint of hiring a good line coach who's got a background of Georgia football a little bit. Coach Hugh Nall was his position coach at University of Mississippi. Hugh Nall, a lot of people know, was a Georgia player here. Was in the mindset of a tough-ass offensive line coach. And then he was able to work with Coach Cutcliffe at Duke and at Tennessee, worked with Coach Freeze and now with Coach Rich Rodriguez. But the fact that we were able to keep Tate Ratledge, a 5-star O-lineman, was big. And I really am high on Willock. People say he's a 3-star and everything like that. But, a lot of times I have to defer to Jake because he studies these guys and knows them a lot better than me. But I was able to watch this guy on the hoof. And I would say the one thing that, without patting myself on the back, I feel like I got a pretty good working knowledge of what it takes to be a college or pro player.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I watched
this guy work out this summer here, and I was amazed that we didn't go on and push for him right then. But at the point we had some other guys, we were looking at Van Pran and we were looking at what's his name?
Lindbergh.
So a little bit more established from bigger programs, and we just didn't, both these guys playing in playoffs and all that. But I'm telling you, Willa, he is a real find for us to be able to, pennies from heaven here at this point. The size, the girth, the speed, his speed's going to increase. He's just a puppy, a lot like he's not near as strong physically maybe as Wilson was coming from the north, but I really think he can be an impact player here down the road. Plus, he's got a good demeanor about him. He wants to be a dog. There's a lot to be said about that. You don't have to talk a guy in to turning down Penn State and coming here. I think that means a lot right there.
Live commitment here taking place. Jermaine Burton flips his commitment from the Louisiana State Tigers, becomes a Georgia Bulldog. Circles right back around.
That is stronger than Aunt Mary's breath. You look at our three. I hope your name isn't Mary, ma'am. I didn't mean to be talking about you coming in. She's a nice-looking lady coming here. You don't buy a Ford today? Okay, good. All right, good. Hey, we'll give you a discount. Take it. Hey, what did he come in here on top of you? But let me tell you something. We got Marcus Roseby and Arian Smith, and this guy with our receivers. You talk about a position of need and really just filling the void. Bert, just congratulations to Coley going out there, and also, Hankton and Kirby. We hung in there. Terrence Edwards told me about him this summer, about what a good player he was, and I kind of busted up on Terrence when this kid committed. But how about LSU? National, really rolling and everything. They've lost 2 receivers today that have to hurt.
2 great ones, yeah.
I'm talking about as good as they're recruiting. I mean, that's what they get for taking a couple of our guys, and that's what they take for getting Gilbert. We got this guy. That just makes my mouth water. That makes the whole show. Everybody in there has some chicken.
That's huge news right off the bat. And to your point, look at the other wide receivers you have, in a Pickens and a Dom Blaylock. Now you're bringing in one of the fastest guys in the nation, regardless of sport, in Arian Smith. You're bringing in
our own Patrick Garman had a little blurb on there, which I don't really read so much that stuff, but I try to catch it. But he had a blurb that said the kid had 25 touches this year and scored 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, 27. He said 27 touches this year, average 25 yards per touch.
Okay, well, way to bust me up. It was close.
Have you done this before, Coach?
It was close, though, wasn't it?
But
it really dropping the hint that this guy, and he's in the bowling kid that everybody knows, the track star that's here on our track team. This kid was in the the World Games for the youth and set a new record around the nation for the 400 meter relay. So the thing about this kid that I like, though, I just happened to be over there the other day checking on a couple things, non-football, and basically I had an injury myself. I was getting some treatment. But I saw this kid interact with, like I've always told you, I like to watch people. And I watched the way he interacted with the other recruits, with the players. And I thought he's one of our players.
Really?
I mean, and hear from Coach Fountain. Hey, let's give a little shout out. We talk about these recruiters and everything. How about Scott Fountain? I mean, he got Carter and this Arian Smith out of Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, and of course he had some help with the other coaches. But I mean, to get that kid Smith, and we're just kind of going back and forth. But I was lower than Welsh a little while ago over Birch, but I'm pretty high now.
Well, you've got to feel good about Burton. Like you said, Smith. You take in Rosemy and Robinson in this class.
I forgot Robinson. That's his dad. I know his dad's a big fan, and I want to talk him up too. One of the first things, if I ever say something about somebody and I forget him, I'm high on Robinson. I watched him as a sophomore, as a junior. I mean, this guy doesn't get the ball much. Unselfish, can play. He'll be a big time player for us too. I mean, we have taken that receiver group to another level with these 4 guys, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think that you get a lot of.
Got to get a ball machine to throw it to him now.
You got to get a lot of variety in that group too. You got the big body of Justin Robinson, a guy who's going to be a threat down there in the red zone, tough to cover down there in short area. You got Marcus Rosemy, who just does a little bit of it all. Great hands, willing blocker, should fit in really well. You got your speedster and Arian Smith to make up for a little what you missed with Mecole Hardman, and then you got a guy, Jermaine Burton, who I think, coming off of that tough injury for Dominic Blaylock, can play a very similar role to what Blaylock did this year.
Well, one of the things we do in preparing for this show, we never talked to Roddy about what we're going to do, but I think you should tell the fans out there the piece that you're getting ready to do about all the guys that we've gotten out of Florida the last couple of years. Because, I mean, this guy's really unique.
Wait, why am I the last to know this?
But, I mean, the guy's going to –
It's my show.
Hey, okay, but we got to cut you. But tell him about it. Tell him, seriously, I mean –
Well, I mean, look around.
Come on, Mullen. What are you doing down
look at this.
there? Mullen,
Devod Wilson, Tyreek Stevenson, Jalen Carter, Arian Smith. You dive in there. Rosemead, Carson Beck from Jacksonville.
Campbell.
It's strong, and you've got to love that not only helps your program immensely, it's also hamstringing one of your biggest rivals and the rest of the SEC. Because the more you can get out of Florida, the more that hurts everybody nationally, because everybody's trying to get in there. So
yeah, that'll be a good thing and send it to Dan Mullen and tell him that. Can you imagine those guys being on their team right now?
That would be a big help. Absolutely. That would. I mean, yeah, they would kill for a couple of those guys. No shit. All right, let's keep rolling right along here.
You stole my point there when I was talking about the different bodies of the wide receivers and how they come in. And now it seems like we can point to like 3 guys that went from Georgia to LSU. But Georgia is making tracks in Louisiana as well. Mm-hmm. Texas, was that 3 guys from Texas?
This class,
Lindbergh,
you got Zirkle
and Kimber?
And Kimber, yep.
And Evans coming up.
And you got Major Burns in Louisiana.
That's what I'm saying. There's got a couple guys from Louisiana. Then you got
Burns and we got Van Pran, hopefully.
And then, like you said, Georgia's doing big work down in Florida. Georgia's getting very national in their recruiting. Pulling guys
we did
pulling
lose
guys
some
from,
guys in state, which
you did,
bothered
but I'm
you.
saying,
You can't
that
go
was
around
my
that.
point.
But some of them had a reason. Hinton's big academic.
Yeah, you miss out on some of those guys, but
And
then you pull a Kendall Milton from California.
Yeah, I don't want to go back and forth, but I want to make one point today because I will forget about it if I don't. I don't think any of the fans out there, any of you that aren't listening, you need to listen here and read my lips or do what. This is a tough school to go to academically for some of these kids with the background they have. They have to spend an inordinate amount of time just trying to stay eligible and compete with all these 5-star students. We don't have any place that any degrees here that some of these schools have where some of these athletes just coast through there. Isn't that right?
No,
Jake?
absolutely. I mean,
so
it's gotten it.
And it's just a tough battle. I really applaud our academic people, our coaches, the way they let their kids budget their time. But I see the way these kids struggle and all the time they have to spend off the field. And, of course, you got to do that to go to any college. I know that, but I just don't think we get we're not getting any breaks there, that's for sure.
Oh, no question about it. I mean, the academic stature of Georgia over the last 15 years has totally rewritten itself. You're talking about a completely different academic institution than it was.
And other schools use that against us. If a coach was here and he sees what these kids have to do to stay eligible, they use it against us.
All right, we're getting all our stories up here. We've got a bunch today, as you would imagine.
That's
Coach,
the best story of the day right now. I mean, what
sure.
happened with Reed?
I think we're still waiting on word from him.
I think he's at 4:00.
Yeah, I think he's 4:30, something like that. He's
last
over there
one.
in Shreveport, so he's an hour behind.
We're kind of forgetting about the fact that yesterday, I mean, what if Major Burns had waited 24 hours
Sure.
and all of a sudden you've got Burns, Jermaine Burton, and Arian Smith all on the same day? People are kind of clapping, but it's almost as if, well, he didn't commit on signing day, so he doesn't count. And if you watch that kid in his announcement today, talking, he kind of gets choked. She chokes up a little bit while he's in his.
That was cool.
Who was that?
Major Burns.
Yeah, I like that.
So he's up there talking at the podium. He's at a big school function. He's letting everybody know where he's going to go. And he starts talking about, his dad who's passed away. He says, I wish he was here. And he just gets real choked up. If you can watch that and not love that kid or start pulling for that kid, then you don't deserve Christmas. I'm just telling you. That's what it is. Big shout out to our friends here at Athens Ford. Come in. They got great deals on the Ford F-150s. They can take care of you. Great service department. So we've got drinks here. Our friend Josh brought us a bunch of Champies. We've got the chicken strips here, the
Hush puppies?
Hush puppies that are all mine. I'm going to be the Grinch on those.
You've eaten a dozen already.
Shut up. So we get those, and but the drinks, he didn't bring drinks, but they have this fantastic drink machine over here behind us, and they got coffee, Starbucks coffee. You can come in here and get it while you're getting your oil changed or getting any work done on your vehicle. Fantastic service department. We're using their Wi-Fi for like 90 different items, and fantastic Wi-Fi here. Great comfy seats to sit in. So if you need any service done or any vehicle, this is the home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. They will take care of you when you come in. Huge Georgia fans, as you can see. Check out this tree. Look at this thing. That's what they do here at Athens Ford. So
And they got the Georgia Santa.
at Georgia Santa.
I've never seen
absolutely.
one of those.
Yeah, well,
Really? That's a Georgia Center?
Mm-hmm.
Was he got the G on him? What?
He does. You know, little go dogs on the hat. So, big shout out to them for letting us come in here and hit it up. Jake, what is left for Georgia going forward? I mean, what is the number one? I mean, to me, it's got to be the 2 offensive linemen.
Sure.
But I'm thinking Kylie Ringo,
Darnell Washington.
But there's still only one quarterback.
That's true. And
so, and my question before I get to it, what's the biggest priority?
I think going forward, it has to be keeping Broderick Jones as part of this class. And in my opinion, that is priority number
huge.
1 because of the level of talent that kid brings to it. I think it's just hard.
How many states
to
have 2 5-star tackles?
Right, exactly. The other one I would say, though, is, to me, personally, is Darnell Washington. I think that you need a tight end that badly in this class. It just wasn't a source of strength for you over the course of this season, and that kid is such a rare athlete at that position. Looks NFL ready today. I mean, looks like he's getting ready to go to the combine, not enroll in college. So very, very good player, a kid that I think anybody would be lucky to have. I just think Georgia really needs him more than the others.
Yeah, and, you talked about the Burns kid on the ceremony. And I think anybody that's a fan out here has a tendency sometimes, be a little critical of these kids. But you got to realize this is a once-in-a-lifetime situation for a young man to sign an athletic granted aid and get a chance to be in front of his student body and his peers and his friends. I mean, it's a monumental achievement, and anything they do for these kids to set it up, I'm for it. Because I mean, regardless of how they pick out their hats and all that, I just think that everybody needs to understand how proud the kids are to be able to go somewhere and also represent their family like that. I just think it's just awesome that they can be on national TV or streamed like some of them are, and it's a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal for everybody.
No, absolutely. No question about it. Now, Coach, I wanted to ask you, after seeing the guys that are on board, not talking about looking ahead necessarily, but the guys that they were able to sign today, anybody that just jumps off the board, a mouthwatering player that really catches your attention out of this group early on?
Well, right off the bat, Kendall Milton is just what the doctor ordered for us, a chub, girly type size guy, with good speed. I haven't seen him, in camp or anything to watch his quickness. I do feel like Zamir's going to benefit from all this bowl activity he's getting, with our situation, and maybe Zamir get a little more confidence. But, I mean, Milton has been our guy from day one, and, we got the ace recruiter on him and Coach McGee. And one of the things that I think is important in this recruiting process here is the fact that Coach Luke's going to take over, and recruit these linemen. But also in this scenario, Kirby's going to put Dale on Broderick Jones too, which I think is stronger than Aunt Mary's breath, because the guy relates to high school players. The kids know what his role is on the campus here, that he interacts with the kids off the field so well, and I think he can solidify Broderick's decision, because he was tight with Pittman and all that, but I think I'll be shocked if we don't get Broderick.
Roddy, anybody that jumps off the page to you out of this early signing group? Guys already inked.
No, I know, but I can't stop thinking about Kylie Ringo and Washington, guys like that. I'm like, what are they going to get here?
Well,
bird in the hand, my friend.
But we get to talk about that later.
I will go right with, and I hate to go to the top and the most obvious, but to me, Tate Ratledge, it's almost to me like another Cade Mays coming in.
Yes.
A guy who is strong, vicious. If you go, just go to his page, go to his Rivals page, and the first video clip you see of him is just taking a kid, folding him into a little origami pterodactyl, putting him on his head. I mean, just folding the kid into. It's like he should be charged. He should catch a case from the cops. It was child brutality.
It was assault.
It was what he did to these kids.
It's going to be a little adjustment, though. I mean,
I know he's not going to do it to everybody.
He's playing at a different level, but I'm high on him too. I don't mean to interrupt that, but I agree with that. We could go through all these guys real quick and just give.
Well, he's just saying one, and
it's hard to name one. But I like the way the other day too, when he came over here and talked to everybody, and then he got on his way home, he said, "I'm shutting down my recruit, and I'm going to be a Georgia."
That's it. Remember,
I like that now.
Right, and he's whole family's Tennessee fans, and he's like, look, I'm not going to let this play out. I'm not going to let people freak out about it. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down real quick, confirm my commitment, and Georgia needs tackles. So it's a position of need. You bring a guy in like that. You can never have too many talented offensive tackles. That to me, you say one guy, I'd like to go through the whole list, and I'm still looking ahead a bit, But I'm like, if you want to talk about one guy who has signed today, Tate Ratledge, I mean, Kirby. What's the first thing Kirby said when he stood up in front of the people?
Got to get bigger in the trenches.
Yeah, first thing, there was no question that was his number one priority. Maybe Jalen Carter.
I was waiting on you to ask me mine.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I was waiting on you to ask me
So,
mine.
Jake, who would be the number one player that stands out to you in this
For
class?
me, it's Jalen Carter. Dave McMahon over here and agreeing with me. Listen, this is a kid that I think can come in, make an immediate impact on that defensive line. He's that big. He's that talented. He's certainly not as big as Jordan Davis necessarily, but got a little bit more quicks to him, I think. A guy who played at a super high level of ball down there at Apopka, Florida. Great athlete, punted the ball for them as well. I think Jalen Carter, his coach told us back when we went to go see him in May, he said, listen, I've had college coaches in here. They've told me this kid is a top 10 pick right now. He said he is an NFL caliber player. There's no question about it.
I mean, if you were over there at the Bud Smear building the other day when Brinson and Carter were walking down the hall, you would have thought it was Seymour and Stroud.
Really?
But both of them probably bigger.
Not bad.
I mean, and that's all I can relate them to. But there's also other linemen here that have played that are similar. But I'm high on both those kids. I saw Brinson work out this summer. Got good quickness for his size too. And Carter though is just a phenom. I mean, the guy played tight end. He got good hands, and we saw what Walker could do. And I'm telling you, Walker, I hardly recognize him the way he's been in the weight room. He got some serious guns on him now.
Yeah, no question.
He's always a basketball player and kind of sinewy type, but now he got some guns on him. Everybody check his guns.
Kind of like me?
Well, not pistols.
Yeah. Chris Garcia here with an interesting
got some good
question
guns there, though.
over on YouTube. I want to get to this one. He says, do you think Tate Ratledge starts next year? Georgia looking for 2 new tackles to fill those roles vacated by Andrew Thomas and Isaiah Wilson. You think the kid's ready to go? You think he's ready to step in there?
He'll get a shot. I mean, Truss is going to be there, but I look at Cade Mays at left tackle and Jamari at right. We might move, Hill out to guard and maybe Webb in the center or Van Pran. Who knows? But I think it can be hard to move those 2 guys out. But, he's versatile enough that he can come in here, and he's a smart kid. We'll see what happens with him. But, that's hard to project an offensive lineman playing as a true freshman like Andrew Thomas did. But, losing Wilson is a big negative there from the standpoint. There's not going to be a lot of experience at tackle as far as playing now. Cade has it, but he's played everywhere. But, I wouldn't swap Mays and Salyer for anybody right now. I think both those kids just determined, good kids, good students. I mean, great reps of the program.
Well, I was going to say too, it's not a bad situation fighting for that right tackle spot when you got, let's assume Cade Mays to left. You got Jamari competing for that, Xavier Truss. You're going to have now Chad Lindbergh,
Now, let's
Roderick
don't forget
Jones,
if
Roderick Jones.
If Roderick Jones comes in there, that's a different animal.
That's 5
situation there as far as, different question mark there as far as him playing early, because of all the guys that look to me like they're ready, that guy would get off the bus and you'd think that he's going to be ready to play in the game.
That's 4 5-stars and a 4-star competing for that position. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
And, again, I think with the Tate Ratledge, look at what Cade Mays did. He got to play some as a freshman. He was the number 2 guy to go in. He played – I think he's played all 5 positions now for UGA. So this is a guy who's versatile. I think Tate Ratledge can be that plug-and-play guy too, whereas maybe, your Broderick comes in and he's just like your Andrew Thomas, or Isaiah Wilson. Get out there on the end. You know what to do. Don't worry about it. And just let him
Think
go.
about Ratledge, too. He's a head taller than Cade Mays. How tall is he? 6'7"?
Yeah, he's right about 6'7". Yeah,
I mean,
he's a massive, massive young man.
So. Yeah, he's big, and Broderick thick.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think overall, though, it's. I mean,
hey, don't forget Chad Lindbergh too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I said. No. He was my 4-star that's competing out of this.
I was talking about Warren McClendon.
And the thing about, I guess you got him too. Yeah.
Erickson's a good player. Condon hurt his shoulder.
These
guys will be all right.
No, Lindbergh, though, to me, too, you got to give him the edge when it comes to the classroom. I mean, the kid's got like a 5.49 GPA, which I asked him, I was like, how is that even possible? They didn't go beyond 4 when I was there. And he was like, it's all AP credits. I think he's going to enter as like a sophomore, like a late sophomore, maybe an early junior.
He's a grad transfer.
Yeah, I mean, essentially. So the kid is unbelievable.
Rank him as your freshman. No, he's a grad transfer. He's going to be a doctor.
And I do want to say something about Lindbergh. He and I exchanged a lot of messages recently. They're all off the record, but I will say that is a high character young man that Georgia fans are absolutely going to love. So if you get a chance to follow him online, do so. He is that's exactly the kind of character guy you want at UGA.
There's a case, too, of existing relationship that Luke had with him that made it a little easier for him, whereas that Braun kid was so geared in to Coach Pittman that he just moved on to Florida. So
I'll tell you a quick story about Lindbergh. The minute he found out Sam Pittman wasn't leaving, he texted James Coley and said, Matt Luke's available. That's the guy he wanted. He got his wishes.
You know who's another guy Matt Luke's pretty tight with? Cedric Van Pran.
Good.
Recruited him very hard over there at Ole Miss. So a lot of familiarity there. He's got to make up a little bit of that certainly with Broderick Jones. I think that'll be the
happen,
key.
though. And then he got Dale helping him. I'll tell you the other thing about Van Pran. We talked about it in the summer show we had. That's when we were over there talking to some of the kids that I recruited had their sons here. They had that deal where they had those did all that stuff where they slid across the ground and had all the games. Van Pran was here with his family, and so I did a routine bump into him. I mean, I don't know what, but boy, what an impressive, articulate kid that just look you in the eye and talk to you like respectfully, but it was obvious that he was taking it all in, and we can't get enough guys like him.
They raise them right down there at Warren Easton. They do a great job molding those young men. Jimmy Smith, our guy Jimmy Detail over at our LSU site.
Did Jimmy Detail predict Burton was going to LSU?
Not initially, but he came around to it here toward the end, and he got it in before it happened. But
he got in what? That Burton was going to flip? Or, I was going to say, hey, you missed one, Jimmy.
Well,
you didn't miss many.
No, we were.
Eric Reed commits to Auburn.
Okay, there you go. Jimmy Smith says, and this is, I just thought this was a funny point because some people were saying talking about Burton a little bit more. He says LSU couldn't throw the ball to save their lives, yet routinely signed premier receivers. Then LSU breaks all passing records, has a Heisman QB and a Biletnikoff winner at wide receiver, and could be on the verge of losing a second wide receiver in the same season.
But the receivers that they have right now are not rated that high as far as recruits worthy. None of those guys were 5-star recruits.
No, that's what his point. He's like they couldn't recruit very well at all, and then all of a sudden the offense changes. They get a quarterback in there who's spreading the ball around. They get a Biletnikoff winner, and it's like, wait, what's going on here? So
I mean,
they did get Gilbert.
Jamar Chase was a kid who
Jordan Jefferson.
Who else? He was committed to Kansas at one point. He almost committed to Florida or was committed to Florida. I mean, he had a hard time finding a spot, really. And so for him to end up over there, win the Biletnikoff, a great player. I love the kid. Congratulations to him.
What really makes my mouth water, though, is the lack of skilled players that Florida's recruiting with the so-called offensive guru there. They're not getting that many offensive guys, are they?
No, and that's actually a point.
Come on, tell me.
I'm pulling it up.
A friend of mine, Derek Tyson, who worked with me at ESPN, he covered Florida. He actually went on Twitter today.
Way to drop it.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm dropping Derek because I like him. Derek has a good pulse on all things Florida, and that was his tweet earlier today. Is like, look, you've got a guy who's winning 10 games with these players. He's a great offensive coach. But he says this guy is just not recruiting offensive skill players. He's just not getting them.
Yeah, I mean,
Leonard,
did
Leonard
Za-
Manuel in that class, very good player.
Did Xavier Henderson go with them?
Xavier Henderson, I think he went Clemson, if I'm not mistaken. Or that's what we were projecting
You know,
for
but here's
him.
the thing about him. His brother played corner for them, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
What
CJ.
about that Donnell Harris, the kid from that you told me about this summer that was committed to A&M? What did he end up doing?
He's still with A&M. I think that we may get I think he may be pushing to February, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah,
Let's
I mean,
get back on him.
Look, if you're looking at, I mean, you raise a really interesting point. Florida does not have a running back committed in this class. No, none. You've got two.
Why would you go there? All
You've
they
got
do is
two
throw the
wide
ball.
receivers and a tight end. So numbers are definitely down there. I mean, there's no question about it.
But they're ranked high, though. Must have got them all on defense.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well on defense. Got a 5-star linebacker in Derek Wingo.
A 5-star? They have got a 5-star guy?
They did. They sure did.
That they didn't get from Georgia.
They did. That is true. That is true. I know, hard to believe, right? All right, so Georgia currently sitting at number 6 in the Rivals team rankings. The big difference between the Bulldogs and everybody else in the top 10, they've got they got 2 less commits than LSU. That's the nearest number, I guess, of commits. Georgia with the smallest class in the top 10, though, right now as far as signees.
And that's the point is if you look at the Rivals class rankings, remember they count the top 20 commits that you have. So Georgia sitting at 6 with only 18 commits, a couple 3-stars in there who could be replaced by possible 5-stars. There's a lot of room for this class to keep going up. So you haven't even maxed out. You're playing 7-card stud, you only have 5 cards. There's still room to go in this class for just in the rankings bit of it. So a lot more room there. Kirby Smart is actually speaking to the media as we're doing this, and he said that signing a second quarterback is not out of the question, but it's not something we have to do.
Interesting comment with all the speculation
He
surrounding.
doesn't have to sign one, but he could get a grad transfer.
That's true. That's
so
sure true.
I don't know that he actually has to. So I thought it was pretty interesting. Apparently, he said Arian Smith wants to run track at UGA. He told you that.
Arian told me that and said that was a major decider in his decision making. He said wherever I go, they have to be comfortable with the idea that I'm going to run track because the kid's a world class track
And
athlete.
Georgia has a
right
fantastic
beside-
track program
It's
right
right
now.
beside the practice field. He can go out there, do a Deion Sanders, take his uniform off, and go right on the field.
How you like Georgia reuniting 2 legs of the Pan Am world record team?
Yeah, that's what I was starting to say until
Bowling
somebody cut me
and
off.
Smith.
So when they were on that Pan Am team, it was the under-20 team. They set a world record in the 4x100 for the under-20 class, like 38 seconds. So if you think those splits, those they were moving. So
Deion Sanders. He said when he finishes football, then he goes over and runs track after he does baseball. Said he can do everything. That's the first time I ever heard of Deion Sanders, but just had to drop
I guess
that
it worked
for you.
out all right.
So, Arian, we can let you do that.
Not a problem.
Dadgummit.
And I think Arian, look, I'm not saying that he's going to come in and just blow everybody away because I do think it's going to take some time for him to develop as a receiver. He's a very, very good athlete. Don't get me wrong
Kinda
about
like
that.
Miko.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But probably even less football inclined than Miko was. Miko was a quarterback, played all that in high school. Arian played in the private school ranks, came up to Lakeland this year, had a good season for Lakeland, don't get me wrong. But I think just still adjusting to the competition, got to work on his hands a little bit. But certainly a kid you got to worry about blowing everybody away.
real quick, Kirby Smart also said that nothing is off limits as far as adding players, including the possible addition of graduate transfers.
Ooh.
So do you got a graduate transfer list you can put out there?
Yeah, you know it, man. Absolutely.
I got it.
He also said Matt Luke
got
has
the list.
placed a Band-Aid on the bleeding.
I completely agree with that.
He
I don't
did.
think I don't think Georgia could have made a better hire in the time allotted ahead of signing day than Matt Luke.
And you got a guy that's gonna, anybody can be replaced. I mean, as good as Sam did, I'm glad that he got the job and all, and he did a terrific job here. But you can always get, good coaches. I mean, and the guys want to come here, and it's a perfect scenario for a guy who has been, kind of at the top of the mountain being a head coach. But if you're going to resurrect your career, you need to go to a place kind of like Lane Kiffin went to Alabama, got it going and everything. If this guy wants to redirect and be a head coach, he's in a winning program, in a good town, and he can be around a defensive coach like Kirby and learn their defense to go with. But he's just a very good niche there for us.
Would not surprise me if he pulled an Ed Ogeron too.
I agree.
You know, and they kind of, hey, I was here, I was, a head coach, kind of bounced around, and then all of a sudden, 4 years from now,
He did a little
someone's
bit better at Ole Miss than Ed did, though.
And I'll
well,
tell
then
you,
maybe
that-
he'll be even better.
I'll tell you this too. I said this the other day. When I first started covering recruiting 5-6 years back, the big arms race was all facilities. It was who could build the nicest facilities, who's got the facility, who's got the weight room, who's got the indoor practice facility. Now everybody's caught up to speed on that. Now
Sure
it seems like
does.
the new arms race is who can hire the most former head coaches on their staff. Chad Morris goes straight to Auburn.
Yeah.
You get Matt Luke over here at Georgia. I mean, you've got Lane Kiffin. He's been everywhere. Now he's back over there. Barry Odom at Arkansas over there. So that's the new. That's kind of the new thing, I guess. That's the new.
You know what I
arms
thought
race.
was ironic, though, in the Chad Morris hire? The Scott guy at Clemson got the job at,
USF.
and so that they had an opening there. They didn't go to Chad Morris.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
I thought that I had speculated that might be where Mike Bobo went.
South Florida.
No, Clemson.
Oh, Clemson. That would have been interesting. I think people would have liked that a little bit more than.
Speaking of something that we reported at UGASports.com that people said, people who didn't know were incorrect. They said that Georgia was fighting like hell to get Mike Bobo to come to Georgia, and I said no, they're not, because there's not an opening at the University of Georgia right now for him to come into. That's why he went to South Carolina. Kirby Smart, in his press conference, has said that he did speak to Mike Bobo, but not about joining the staff, which is exactly what we reported at UGASports.com. I know there were some contradictory reports out there. That's why you pay your 27 cents a day.
We might have been the people who floated that Jermaine Burton thing
Did he
first, too.
Did he say anything about the guys that aren't going to be in the game or anything yet?
Kirby Smart said it is yet to be determined, quote, end quote, if any other players will miss the Sugar Bowl. Said he is still gathering information. We have reported that one running back will not be in the game. It is not the running back that you consider. I know a lot of people think that DeAndre Swift wouldn't play because he's going to go pro. Somebody was out there saying that, I think a couple of different people said, oh, yeah, he's going pro. DeAndre Swift went to Twitter, said that is not true. I have not made a decision yet.
I thought his dad was going to kill a guy.
Oh, yeah, that was – why would you argue with that guy?
Yeah, right.
Here's the deal that everything.
You want to talk about guns?
I'm just going to give you a little Nostradamus here. You watch over the next 3 or 4 days, there's going to be some guys that aren't going to play in these championship games suspended, just like there are every year.
Yeah, every year.
Because what happens is the NCAA has a rule that they go out and they do a random test on all these kids and, pick out 18 to 20 players on every team in the country that's playing in a bowl game. And, sometimes kids get caught in between when they think they're going to be tested from their other, on-campus thing. And it's going to have a lot to do with some of these betting lines, I promise you.
And also you have every school in the country right now is dealing with grades. Because you got
Right.
kids, some kids didn't think they were coming back, and they kind of slacked in the classroom. Some guys just didn't get it. Some guys didn't put in the work. And all of a sudden, they're like, hey, guess what? You are not qualified to play in the bowl game.
Yeah, they passed
You
that
know?
rule a few years ago that if you weren't eligible at the end of the semester, you couldn't play in a game that happens after the semester. So if
That's what I'm saying.
teams that are playing like this week probably could get by with it, but
So Georgia, that's what our point is. Kirby Smart saying it's still to be determined. We reported, if you check out UGASports.com, you'll find that there's one running back who's not going to be there. But DeAndre Swift is practicing.
Anthony Dasher says Coach Smart asked directly about Ben Cleveland and his academic eligibility. Smart says that has not been determined yet. So,
There you go. I
that-
wonder who was just talking about that. Speaking of, if you
so
want all these,
basically when he says that they've still got to figure out if he's going to be eligible. Or
yeah.
sounds like it.
Rodney, I'm telling you now, it's not fair the way you just kick everybody's ass.
I'm just saying we had these notes yesterday at UGASports.com.
I mean, really, is it? Is it fair?
Yes, it's completely fair.
If I was the head coach, I'd be pissed off at you.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
No, I wouldn't be. I think your head coach respects you, but I mean,
well,
but seriously,
we've had some issues.
You got some. I mean,
No, we had some great notes at UGASports.com yesterday.
but they really weren't divulging anything. You showed them to me when I can't ever get online. I can't see that stuff. But
No.
when I came over here today, you showed them to me, and you asked me what I thought about them. I said, "Oh, they're okay," but basically, they're pretty damn good.
I know. So we had some good stuff there. If you want to read all of our notes, right now is the best time to go to UGASports.com. Go to the front page, click on the Nike deal. They have a deal where if you're a new subscriber or a former subscriber who's canceled and is coming back, or even if you're a monthly subscriber, go ahead and upgrade. Right now, for your first year, if you buy a year membership, you'll get 25% off. That makes it $75. Then we will send you a few days later a $75 gift code to Nike.com. You can go into any Nike store or go to Nike.com online, even Converse.com online, and use your $75 gift code. So we're only going to charge you $75 for the entire year. Then you get a $75 gift code to Nike.com. They're the ones that make all the UGA logo
It's
stuff.
like a net zero.
That is about a net zero for a year of coverage. After the first year, it goes back to regular price.
I
But
wouldn't
if you
do
can't,
that. I wouldn't give that shit away.
well, here's the thing. This is a nice thing done by Yahoo.com. Sometimes we
And I'm
complain
gonna
about
tell
our
you, if
overlords.
anybody
But
really wants to get some good scoop, I don't know what you probably can't do it this year, but last year those Sugar Bowl notes were like golden, man.
well, that's what we told you about Aziz Ojulari playing, Devod Wilson, some other guys.
I
We
mean,
told you guys. We told you DeAndre Walker was not going to play in the game, although he was maintaining that he was. We told you all sorts of stuff. What the players were doing each day that was not on the official media guide or in the notes.
But you can't.
That's
do
where
that
we had
this
some
year.
issues last year.
Yeah.
This year you won't get that shit.
Excuse
me, you won't get that stuff.
Well,
I'm
it's,
sorry.
it's possible that we don't, but we're going to try our best. Again, we're here live at Athens Ford in Athens. Fantastic place to come get a
I'm
vehicle.
going to be kicked out of Athens Ford for bad language.
Now, hey, if you come and see these deals they have on these Ford F-150s, you'd say have some foul language too.
I would say that Ford F-150 is a hell of a truck.
It is. Speaking of, when we go to the Sugar Bowl, I'm driving down in my Explorer. So, because it's like, well, do I want to go sit in the airport for this amount? No. Me and Patrick Garvin will sit there. We're going to have to fly Dash in because he's going to be there when the players get there on the 27th. They get off the plane. There's a media availability. We're going to get him in there early so that he can talk to those guys. But then for each day,
Dad should leave early and go on down there. What's he? We going to stick around and
he's-
watch a basketball game?
probably. He's always reporting. Plus, he'll be down in Savannah, so he's going to fly out there. So we'll have every media availability that is possible covered, at least 3 UGA reporters. So and then we'll have another guy come in for the game, so we'll have 4 guys there. Jake is going to be in San Antonio covering the Adidas All-American game. Trent will be in Orlando covering the Under Armour All-American game.
Which one do our guys?
We got the Rising Seniors game.
It's actually a lot more split this year than
Which
normal.
one of the two that we got? Now, which
One
Ringo
in
and
each.
Washington playing?
Oh, they're split. Yeah, they're doing one each. Ringo's Adidas, and then Washington will be in Under Armour.
So you got Ringo out there that you're going to be taking him out and flipping him 50 and stuff under the table stuff. Hey, you the private.
Hey, we need some keys to a new F-150.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. No, I look forward to seeing that one. It's going to be really interesting to go out there this year because it's getting to the point where I don't know how much longer we're going to keep doing this because
These kids early report.
exactly most of these guys are done. By the time of these All-Star games happen, most of these guys are already.
What's going to shut it
committed.
down are the coaches going, well, look, you've already signed with us. I don't want you to go out there and take a chance of getting hurt.
Sure.
I want you in. I want you signed.
That happened to Xavier
here.
Truss last year.
Yeah, I want you here. I want you studying. Here's the playbook. You need to meet with your academic tutors. You start class on Monday. You need to be moved in. And we saw this with a bunch of the high school regional games. Some of the regional All-Star games. Who was the guy that got hurt in the North Carolina-South Carolina game?
In the Shrine Bowl?
Yeah, Shrine Bowl. There was a
Last year?
No, it was a few years ago.
Oh, that I don't
there
remember.
was a big name Georgia guy got hurt, and they were like, "Wait a minute, why are we letting guys do this?"
Sure.
So all of a sudden, the following year, there are a lot of stars that weren't in that game. You know, so it's going to.
I got to tell you a Shrine Bowl story, right? This
All right, come
fans, you got to love this. Back in the old days, the Shrine Bowl was just unbelievable. You know, you could go out, the coaches could watch them practice. You could go after practice and talk to them. You could go up in their rooms. I mean, it was like secret code stuff and everything. And Paul Dietzel was the coach at South Carolina, and then I'm not sure who the coach was at Clemson. It was after Frank Howard, but whoever, Hootie Ingram was there. Well, anyhow, this Clemson coach had this laugh box, you know, one of these laugh boxes where, you know, if you say something and then he goes, yeah. So he went up to Paul Dietzel, and we had this kid named Freddie Solomon that was really a stud quarterback. He couldn't get in. It didn't end up getting in either place, but he ended up going to Tampa. But he went up to Paul Dietzel, and he says, Paul, this is what Freddie Solomon said when I asked him if he was going to go to South Carolina, and he handed it to
That ain't right.
That's cruel.
All right, let me ask both of you this question. It's something that a lot of people have discussed today. Any concerns as it goes toward Georgia's in-state recruiting? I know we talked a little bit about Eric Gilbert.
That's the point I was trying to make earlier. Is that you have LSU come in here, they take Eric Gilbert, they take Max Johnson,
Philip Webb goes there.
Bama got two. Who they get? What's that line?
No, Ticho, Taco, whatever. Paul from up there in Milton. He went to Clemson. He's a Clemson.
Clemson got him and Murphy.
Yeah, and then Alabama
got two.
One
was a receiver, I think.
Yeah, let's go. Oh, Javon Baker.
But that's the point. So you have those teams coming in while you're looking that up, and they're picking. If you look at the top 10 as we have them ranked in Georgia, Georgia gets maybe the 2 tackles.
Yeah.
You know, which hey, don't get me wrong, 2 5-star tackles, you take them and consider yourself that you got it made. But when you see number 3, number 5, number 6, all these guys leaving, going out of state, you know, your gut reaction is like, what the hell is going on, Kirby? You said when you got here you're going to try to lock down the state, but is there a better running back in the state than Kendall Milton? Now,
we did great out of state, but I mean, it worries you a little bit. I mean, if we hadn't have done that, it would have worried me. But
that's my point. Is, you know, when you're like, okay, who's the best tight end in Georgia? Is he better than, you know, your chances with Darnell Washington? Is the best cornerback in the state as good as Kylie Ringo? You see, kind of working down. Now, are there better tackles than the 2 in Georgia? No. So you go after those 2. So it's
well, and you got.
you could sour some people though.
I think it's a push there.
KDDSGB on YouTube points out Tank Bigsby. Definitely a guy.
Yeah, well,
Georgia pushed in on him, went heavy after him. Definitely got to chalk that one up. But
maybe that's where when you go too far, you've got 2 positions and you take one. You're trying to do both of them from out of state. Where you could have gone 1 and 1.
Did anybody ask him about was he going to take a second running back? Did they ask him that today?
I don't think they did, but I don't see it happening necessarily. I don't think that there's another guy out there that they're just pining over. Plus, the 2021 class, maybe Zach Evans, who knows what that kid will do. But the 2021 class has really snuck up on people, me especially. I was like, this is not a very strong
your job.
class. Well, I didn't think it was a very good running back class initially out of the gate, but it's gotten stronger each and every time they.
But you had on your deal there though that down the stretch if we all of a sudden get more guys going pro and we got more scholarships, we could still go on Edwards, couldn't we? He's not signing early, is he?
No, he's definitely not going to. Down there in Colquitt County, Dejan Edwards, 4-star running back, a kid that Georgia's been in consistent contact with. I think what makes him such a special player, great receiver out of the backfield, good running back. Don't get me wrong, but excellent hands out of the backfield.
So this is going to be more up in the air second signing date than Roddy gives it credit for.
I agree. I would
like
agree.
That
was one of my first point was that you still have 4 guys on the docket.
No, that wasn't what you said.
I did too.
You said this is the signing date.
I said, well, it is the signing day, but I didn't say that the second signing day wouldn't have anybody in it. I'm saying today's the signing day. The next one will be the late signing period. But the fact that you still have 2 5-stars that people think are a heavy lean towards you, 1 5-star that's committed to you, the number 1 center in the nation who is committed to you, those 4 guys, and again, you're only at 18 spots. You can add 4 more. Now you're at 22 plus maybe some others. That is a chance to finish strong. So when you look at the rankings, 2 of Georgia's top 5 guys are not signed today. They're committed, and then 2 guys who would be right at the top You know,
You got 4. But let me ask you this
That's 4 huge
hypothetical to you recruiting gurus. Let's say that I'm Broderick Jones and I don't sign today and I don't sign, in the next few days. Can he sign any time between now and February 6th and it still count, or is it
The window closes after Friday, after this Friday.
Just like I always said.
You got 3 days.
Hey, so after Friday, everything's cold turkey, right?
I'm not saying.
Did you know that answer, Roddy?
yeah.
I'm not saying you push the reset button, but I mean it's gonna be horses into your stables. I mean it's gonna be like everybody to your mark.
But if you hadn't been able
Sure.
to answer that computer would have been turned back in.
Yeah.
It's on the layaway plan. Good job. I mean, you're the recruiting guru. Rules and everything.
Thank you. Thank you. I try.
But if it keeps
So how
eating,
much you
my
think-
hush puppies from Champions, we're going to have to fight.
Right.
While we're on it, this is our last show. We're not going to be able to, because normally
Of the
year. Last show of the year, because we're not going to do one on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. Christmas Eve, we'll all be getting ready for Santa to come down, and
Thank you, Mr. Scrooge. You can have the day off tomorrow, Cratchit.
half a day off.
Right.
Half a day off. Dude, when you leave here, you got to go back to work.
Oh,
we
I
need
know, I know.
We need superlatives.
I
We
know
need
where
a
I'm going.
signing day recap. You never get any time off. But this is the last show we will do until January. So we do have some quick thank yous what we would like to give out for a great year. Big shout out to, of course, Athens Ford for sponsoring us, Champions for letting us go into their place, Europi for always taking care of us. We had a great show there last week. Our friends at Aaron Overhead Doors. This is the time of year where they actually go to someone's house who is in need, who can't afford to have work done. They'll do it. Also, go check out their page on Facebook. You'll see some fantastic custom work that they do.
And shout out to our guys at Cable East, man. They don't have any reason to sponsor us.
No.
You can't go into their store and buy anything.
They do.
But they're just good dudes.
Yeah, and we're here on the west side of town. We're very close to Academia Brewing Company. Those guys have sponsored us well and given us beer. So they may be our favorite sponsor, but
I got a favorite sponsor,
but if we had
they got
to-
beer.
So Santa should be very good to them. So thank you to all sponsors, and of course, thank you everybody for tuning in. We're going to hit up a few more questions here before we go.
Yeah, but
just
I want to do this. I really want to apologize for using some bad language. I even got my wife tweeting.
You got the Mary Beth Smart treatment,
Hey,
man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just overwhelmed with glee, So
Chip Crook wants
I
to know.
I don't use like really bad words. It's just I gotta say
Many little bad
I gotta
words.
say manure and Hades
There
and
you
things
go.
like that.
Chip
My
Crook
bad.
wants to know Sugar Bowl watch along. I don't assume you guys will be doing one. You're going to be in New Orleans, Coach. You'll be watching. Maybe.
There's a possibility. I need to reach out to some of
won't
our
write it
friends to see
off,
if we
huh?
can do it. But I think
Yeah, that would be fun. Watch those Baylor Bears and watch our team's going to be new identity with a lot of the good players not playing, but maybe some of these young guys like Kenny McIntosh. I think I'm fired up about him, and hopefully things will work out for
lather up Zeus.
Yeah, and hopefully that Zamir can do it, but also DeAndre Swift could go down there and give us some partial playing time with his shoulder. Maybe he's a team guy.
I think with the way the bowls don't matter as much unless it's the playoff game. This is my working theory, Coach. You can tell me if I'm full of garbage or not, but I think the coaches are going to start using these bowls almost like a pre-spring practice scrimmage.
Sure.
It's
Sure.
like, look, seniors, we want you to go out on a winning thing. We'll start you, but and if you want to play, we'll let you play. But if you don't want to play, that's fine. You're not going to hurt our feelings. We're definitely going to use this game because when you do these spring practices, you don't get to scrimmage against another team. You have to do it intra-squad stuff. But how good would it be for the coaches say, hey, we're going to run our young guys versus your young guys. We're going to try some stuff that we want to implement next year. We got 15 days to do it.
But I can't see Baylor. I mean, this is a game of a lifetime for Baylor. I mean, the new coach is taking that program
very
off
true.
the mat and everything. I think they're going to come in there even more fired up than Texas. But I think our kids learned a tough lesson last year. And what I'm seeing with all this situation with these guys not playing, I can see an 18 playoff around the bend, man. I could just see it happening to get these keep everybody involved. It could happen quickly.
KDDSGB asks defensive tackle McKinley Jackson. What are your thoughts about him?
Oh, that's a good question.
I do think that Georgia's going to be in it. Going to get an official visit probably in January. Matt Luke playing a huge role there, so watch out for McKinley. Definitely
Where's he
want
from?
to keep your eyes on. He's from Mississippi. I don't know the exact town, but everybody thought prior to Matt Luke's departure he was going to end up at Ole Miss. Certainly that shook everything up. John Adams here with a real good question. Coach, any thoughts from you on this one? He says, which of the rivals of Georgia do you think improved the most through this early signing period? For me, there's two that I look at primarily. I think Tennessee took a big step forward with their signing class compared to what the level of talent they've been getting. I think they got some really good players in that class. And then Auburn, another fantastic signing class for Auburn.
Yeah. I would say Auburn. I think Florida, just to be ranked that high, maybe it's because of their defensive guys, but still there's some. And every year, I've always wanted to do this. I never did it on ESPN, but I'm going to do it here. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a imitation of a coach after recruiting. When you're talking about your recruiting class. Okay, Roddy, just give me like a minute. If I get going too far, just like it. First of all, we got everybody we wanted. There wasn't one player that we didn't offer that we didn't get. So we just kicked everybody's butt. I want to thank the band. When the band was playing so good, we did such an unbelievable job. I want to thank the fans when they really made a lot of noise. I want to thank our supporters who really gave us a lot of money to buy some of these players under the table. And most of all, I want to thank just all these kids that are on our team that really understand that we're going to make a big jump from last year not winning the game to winning them all next year.
Coach, it's amazing that you didn't cheat, but all your rivals did too to get those guys.
Right?
I know.
But we cheated some. I'm talking about this imitation cheat.
I know.
But I know one bank account that's probably a little bit bigger in a state that's a little bit south of us today.
Yeah.
And there's two teams in our league that play for teams that have the same name in their town. So let's go for that.
Okay.
So he's like, hang on, let me get this fancy new
That's just
computer. Let me.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm fried after
I
today.
know. Well, your day isn't over. Get back to work.
I know. Here's to a great year, gentlemen. It was a good one.
We got any more questions? I thought we were going to ask a couple.
We got a couple.
I stepped up with that invitation.
No,
Have
we got-
you
that was
ever
good
heard of a
stuff.
coach?
No, we just got a
Have
couple,
wouldn't you like for a coach to just get on? Well, we got killed. We didn't get anybody.
These guys are terrible.
He said, "What's going on here?"
There were a couple times that I felt like I could stand in for Mark Richt.
Sure.
When he would go out in the dress crowd, I felt like I could do that. I've heard this speech before, and that's not just Mark
Kinda
Richt.
canned.
And
Yeah.
then to hear every coach say the exact same thing, it's like. And so I'm using Richt as just an example. Of
We
the
met
coach.
our needs.
Yeah, these kids are going to address the needs we have. We met them really good,
Our biggest problem is none of them can get in school.
And then they're like, and we're still out there looking, but we closed down the borders of our state. We got a bunch of kids with state pride, and we got the kids who really want to be here. That was always to me
And I really want to thank Athens Ford for giving some used cars to some of these lesser players, but some F-150s for the really good ones.
Right. I always like the ones that would have the where they're talking about their kids wanting to be there, as if the kid that you really wanted who went to the other school is just a jerk, So
We never recruited him. We didn't offer him. We turned
we
him
missed
down.
out on the 5-star, and we got the 2-star preferred walk-on. But that's a kid who really wants to be here. And give me kids with heart over kids with talent any day. I'm like, no, that's not how it works.
Our guy Llama1028
Llama.
over on YouTube.
Llama,
He
I like
says,
that.
"See y'all next year. Thanks for the hard work and good info all year, plus the laughs." We got more of it at UGAsports.com. Come check us out over there. Like Roddy said, we got the deal running right now with Nike, 25% off your first year, $75 to the Nike store. Also, you're not ready to dive in, want to give us a shot, though, UGA 30, get you 30 days free. That's not a bad deal.
You can read all our free stuff. All our paywall stuff. Get behind the paywall for 30 days
For free.
and then take off. And You know, just
I like it.
Just
I like it.
just abuse us and use our generosity. It's okay. But I guarantee you, if you come behind that paywall for 30 days, when the time comes for you to actually sign up,
It's like going into prison. You get institutionalized. You don't know how to live on the outside any longer.
I was going to say it was like smoking crack, but you had to go to prison. So it's hey. So yours was probably a nicer image than mine. But anyway, we gotta get back to work.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas.
We do.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in all year long. Big shout out to, of course, Athens Ford, Champies, Europi, 365 Game Day, whose website we're on right now. And remember, if you don't have your Christmas gifts, you can give. You can go to 365 Game Day and get some stuff, or you can actually give the gift to rivals. You can gift a subscription to UGASports.com. Just go to our website and see it.
How about our schedule next year? We play Auburn and Alabama.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Lovely. All right, well, we will have notes from you from New Orleans, and we will talk to you later.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.